This past year, my high tunnel here took on some wind damage. And in the past, this tunnel has been really beneficial in helping us to grow more produce here. We primarily have grown tomatoes and cucumbers in here. Using the harpooning method, trellising them up tomahawks, we've been able to produce so much. And typically in the winter, I'll bring in the chickens in here and they'll just go to town with fertilizing and scratching and being comfortable. However, this winter, I'm going to be making some upgrades to it to hopefully protect it more from the wind. And these items right here is what we'll be using for our upgrades. And I bought them from a company called Farmer's Friend. And one of the things I like about that company is that they make quality products affordable to help people grow stuff. And on our recent travels, we had the opportunity to visit their headquarters and get a tour from the owner, Jonathan.
Okay, so welcome to Farmer's Friend. This is our new facility in Centerville, Tennessee, and we're excited to give a tour to the FITFARMER.
There we go.
This is going to be the first, I guess, YouTube tour of the new facility. All right, so this is kind of our office area. We have offices around the perimeter here, a big conference room where we do all of our team meetings and stuff. And this has been just great. For the last 3 years, I think, we have had team members in different locations. So we had all of our production staff at the old facility out at the farm, and then we had customer service and our programmers and web stuff all at a rented office building here in Centerville. And so it's just been a bit chaotic. But about almost a year ago exactly, we were all moved into the facility, and so that's been really great for the team and for our progress.
From the very beginning of the tour, one of the first things that stood out to me was their display of wall art throughout their facility of real farmers and gardeners using their products.
So we have this nice overlook here. Right below us here, you'll see is our R&D department. So since we've been moved into this new facility, we've been able to dedicate an area specifically just for research and development.
Wow.
And it has been exciting. We have basically 2 full-time people and myself that are working on R&D projects.
A lot of neat machines down there, right, Josiah?
Yeah. Yeah, we got a milling machine that's just for R&D, and CNC plasma cutter and 3D printers and welders and saws and all of that. So yeah, I'll give you a tour when we get down there. But
Josiah here loves equipment and machines and things like that.
Yeah, I was the same way. I was the same way when I was a kid. That's what got me into this.
And another thing that I like about this company is that their products are made right here in the United States of America.
All right, so one of the things that we've tried to do since the very beginning is do as much of the manufacturing processes in-house as possible. And so you can see over here to my left, we have our milling department, which is, we have these 4 CNC milling machines. It's all computerized programming where we take, it's mostly aluminum, but some stainless steel, and we take the raw components, run them through the machines, and that's how we get the components for harvesters and our pyro weeders and stuff like that. So this is kind of where it all begins with those products, and as we kind of flow through the shop, it then goes into welding and then assembly and shipping at the other end. So we have a flow in the shop, so products aren't bouncing around from one location to the other.
Is that neat, Josiah?
About 80,000. This one. Used to.
That's neat.
Hey, James.
What you think of that? Is that pretty neat?
Yeah, so this is the raw material. It goes in the fixture, and then when it runs it cuts the part out, the profile. This is the operation 1, but it still has all of this material you can see underneath. But then they flip it over, and then it decks the top. So these parts are all finished. So yeah, it's a pretty cool process.
Wow. Looks like a neat machine, right, Josiah?
Yeah.
You think you'd want to operate that?
I do.
You do too?
We have one machine down here. This machine has a robot that attends the machine. So with certain parts for that machine, we can run 24-hour production. And the robot just takes the raw material, puts it in the machine, it clamps it, runs it, and then takes the finished part out and puts another raw material
Wow.
in. So it's totally automated. That's honestly the future of manufacturing, is more automation. And a lot of people get all kind of out of shape when you say that, because they think you're taking away people's jobs. But the reality of it is that I can't remember the statistic, but I want to say it was almost like 50% of people in the industry, manufacturing industry, are going to be retiring in the next like 10 years. And so there's just not more young people getting into it. So in the next 10 years, we're going to see a huge labor crisis in manufacturing, which is why companies like ourselves and others are having to look at more automation. It's, I mean, that's the main reason, honestly.
Is part of it that people just not wanting to work or do this kind of work?
I mean, a lot of it is people not wanting to work. I think a lot of it is just people wanting to do easier jobs, or been indoctrinated by society that manual labor and manufacturing is like, demeaning labor. I don't know, but it's just a lot of problems like that. And we have been blessed to not have too much issues getting labor. But and we have a great team, but just the numbers and data shows that the amount of people willing to get into manufacturing is declining rapidly.
Wow.
With our goal of trying to do more manufacturing in the U.S., I mean, we try to do as much as possible here in the U.S. and source from the U.S. We don't like to, buy from overseas if we can help it. So
that is fantastic. We so appreciate that. Whew. Definitely no lack of desire to work here. Oh man. I bet some of you are like, Mike, what in the world are you digging all that for? Well, what I'm doing as we're doing these upgrades is there's a couple things that I've noticed. One is that whenever we get rainfall, with the way that the land is sloped, the rain will just come and wash bring a whole bunch of water right inside of our tunnel for our plants, where it's frankly too much at times, especially with the runoff of the high tunnel here. You got water running off here to side here, and then water coming down the hill here, and all that water just washes right inside. So we're trying to divert and control the water flow. And I'm just digging out now around by hand, but we'll come back through later, come back along through here, and with an excavator, a machine to help dig out some more dirt. And speaking of machines, that milling machine was pretty cool. But another cool machine was the machine that they use to cut holes in the landscape fabric right here that we're going to be using to plant our tomatoes and cucumbers in. And with this landscape fabric, it has holes already burnt right into them, so when you lay it out, you can just plant those plants right into those holes. That machine was really cool.
The other thing which we'll go look at next is our quick plant fabric, which is the ground cover with holes burnt in it. That's an incredible product for homesteaders, commercial growers, anybody, because weeding is so, you know, in the manufacturing environment, we look at value added versus non-value added. You know, value added are tasks that are actually adding value to the product that the customer is buying. Weeding is not doing that. We could explain that. You know, you could compare that to like sweeping the floors. Our customers don't want to. They don't want to know that they're paying us to sweep our floors, and so we want to spend as little time as possible sweeping our floors. Yeah. So we have a ride-on like Zamboni type thing that goes in and sweeps and back. You know, but it's like you have to do it, or else the place turns into an absolute trash. But nobody wants to pay you to do that.
Exactly.
Same with weeding.
Exactly right.
So the more you can eliminate weeding, the better. So the quick plant is really awesome.
Yeah.
And I think especially for people who aren't doing it like full-time commercial, because you might have a full-time 40-hour-a-week job, and when you come home at the end of the day, you don't want to go weed. You want to just enjoy time with your family.
Yeah. Totally agree with that.
That's a great product.
The less weeds you can have, the better, always.
And this is what quick plant fabric is. And so it's woven ground cover that you can buy, but you know, when you get woven ground cover, you got to put the holes in it, right? So
you
buy a 300-foot roll, and you got to figure out how you're going to do that. And it's kind of tricky, and then most likely your holes are going to end up really jagged, whereas these end up really quite nice and clean. But we've developed and built this machine, which is all, you know, again, it's all programmable, computerized, to where we can adjust how many rows. You can see this, we have 5 rows, and it's a staggered pattern, but we can also do just a single row down the center, you know, any spacing. We can do 4 rows, we can do 3 rows, we can do a 2-row staggered. We got a bunch of different patterns that we're going to be doing, but you know, you can buy this from us and you roll it out and plant right into it. You know, it saves you that whole step of having to try to cut your own holes.
I've been there before, and you're right about the edges being jagged. So this one here is probably for lettuce. Is this what this one's set up for?
Yeah, I think this is what we're going to be using for Salanova.
Okay.
So this is a 3-inch hole, but if you modeled out a 6-inch hole around each one, every single direction it's going to perfectly intersect with the other 6-inch hole. So the space around each hole is equal distant on every single hole in the row. I was able to add an entire row of holes, and each plant still has the same amount of space.
Wow, that's great.
Essentially.
That's great.
And so yeah, for a 100-foot bed, you have I think it was like 200 additional plants.
Wow, that's a big difference.
But I think that's just one of the things that a lot of people don't understand, is that a lot of spacings just don't leave the plant with an equal area, an equal circumference to grow in.
Wow.
And the reason that it's challenging for somebody on their own to create that is because what you end up with is your diagonal distances are all the same, but your distances in between rows end up weird fractions. So in other words, if you're looking for a 6-inch staggered spacing, the distance between the center of the hole to this center of the hole, you know, to this center of the hole is 6 inches, but so like from here to here would be 6 inches, from here to here would be 6 inches, but from here to here is a weird fraction because of the way that
Gotcha.
It's just geometry.
Yeah.
But when you model it out in the computer, you can get it precisely, and then we're able to manufacture it, you know, with that precision. So
yeah.
If we wanted to go with a single row, you just put select the 2 center, and then I can put this punch stride at say 18 inches for tomatoes or something.
Wow.
Like that. And then just hit start. Well, we tell it how long we want it to be. So if you wanted 100-foot roll, I can put a 100-foot roll in there. You know, if you wanted 1,000-foot roll, we can go 1,000-foot.
Oh man!
Just hit start, and then it just starts running it through.
That's so much easier than either measuring by hand or do a template by hand and burning it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, the trick with this is like we have to get to the point where we can manufacture it consistently. With this current design, we're going to be able to go from running one pattern to changing to the next pattern and be in production in about 30 seconds.
Wow.
But yeah, we have to be able to manufacture it consistently, and then I think we also have to be able to obviously manufacture it for a price tag that people are willing to pay.
Yeah.
But certainly at surface level, everybody looks at it and says 100%, I would love to have that on my farm.
Yeah.
And buy a bunch of it. So that's definitely a good first step.
There we go.
So.
Well, along with the ground cover, we also got end walls for our high tunnel to help make it more permanent and more wind resistant.
And as we're loading it into the truck, it was really nice to see another tractor girl on the job and see another lady loading up with a tractor.
She did a great job too. She's got it. She's good. Yep. I'm gonna give you a 5 for that one. That was good. Now we still have a lot of work to do before I can get everything all set up, but I plan to get on it right away, and hopefully we can get it knocked out before the growing season. Because looks like it's just going to be me and the kids getting it set up, because you've been working really heavily on growing something.
Yes.
Right now,
I'm
right inside you.
growing something. I don't need to grow anything else right now, for sure.
But you were a trooper in helping out, getting everything unloaded from the truck.
Let's see.
Give her a thumbs up that she did a good job.
and that's probably the last time I'm gonna be climbing up on the tractor for a while. And once I'm up there, I'm fine, but the getting up and getting down has become more difficult, so I think I'm just gonna stay down for a while.
I must admit, I really enjoyed hanging out with Jonathan and talking with him and seeing all that they do at Farmer's Friend. And one of the things that he mentioned to us is that they are looking to support homesteaders more and more and helping them to provide the products that they need to be successful, because they want to see everybody if possible growing things, more and more people growing. And 3 of the items that he recommended for homesteaders that would really benefit them is 1, their irrigation, 2, their ground cover, and 3, their caterpillar tunnels. And I have seen their caterpillar tunnels all over at different farms, and they have really benefited so many farms all over the place. Well, it's Friday sunset here, and we observe the 7th day of rest. And you know what? Jonathan and the gang at Farmer's Friend, they do too. And that's something we commend them for, because they're not afraid to share what they believe. It's really neat to even see on their website that they're shut it down from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. And this was the last thing that I talked with Jonathan about. Another great thing that I've learned about you all is that you all also keep, a number of you keep the 7th day Sabbath.
Yeah,
that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, yeah. I grew up, I grew up as a Sabbath keeper, and it's just a generational thing in my family. But it's cool to interact with guys like yourself who kind of came on that belief later in life.
That's great. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, and the connection between agriculture and then taking a day of rest every week, I think is just so incredibly powerful. You work hard 6 days and you just take a day to just sit back and enjoy the land and nature, and it's just, growing up and still now, it's like you look forward to Friday evening as the time where you can just relax and then just enjoy the fruits of your labor.
One of the things that I really enjoy about the farming lifestyle is it is complementary, and it kind of forces you in some way to connect deeper to the creation around you, which ultimately connects you more to God.
Yeah.
And it's really amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's a powerful combination.
So that's great. So it's great that you were able to help farmers like me and others to be able to have tools that we need to be able to do it successfully.
100%.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.